So in order to set up the tasks that you need, you go to Work Tasks on the top right. Just press that button up there. Then if we go to create a new task here, we press this plus icon. Here it asks for the group that it needs to go in. So this is the primary group. You'll have 4 of these. These are the default ones. So what you have task types, which are you can rename as well, but you have tasks, due diligence, cleaning, so on. And you have groups inside these task types. So in general, if you're new to this, put them all in general, but this is the default breakdown. You can change the names of these. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. So if I create a task here called mop the floor, put a description of mop the floor with a bucket. That'll do. Interval is how often it has to be done. So daily, weekly, bi-weekly, so on. The interval is when it's done since the last time. So is the interval since the last time it was done, or is it from when the job started? The subgroup, again, if you're new to this, you probably want to stick them all in general, but you can break them down into different subgroups within the groups, and I'll show you how that looks shortly when you come to the user point of view. So we also have the input type here, so you can set it to be, for example, a number if you wanted to put the number of gaps for a gap count, text if you want them to put a message in, a photograph if you want them to take a picture of what they did, and so on. Active from is the date it's active from. Active to is when it stops being done. So if you want that to be forever, just leave it blank. Available from and to are the times it's allowed to be done between. Associated images are for you to put pictures in of how to do the job. And these are the images that came from the cloud as well. So you can upload them from a file, or you can Bluetooth them over from your phone, whatever you want to do. Then you can set whether it's got an alarm, so you can set it to have an alarm when it's nearly due, a siren when it's overdue, and so on. Must confirm understand means that they get a message saying that I understand the job before, and they have to tick that before they do the job. Is report exception means that it comes up on the daily report if the job isn't done. Rollover on non-completion means if it's not done on a certain day, that it rolls over onto the next day. And rollover on invalid dates, but effectively what that means is if it can only normally be done on a Wednesday, do we allow it to be rolled over onto a Thursday even if it couldn't normally be done on that day? Forced completion means that this job has to be completed before the last person signs out each day. So, availability settings, these can be fairly complicated, but effectively these are when the job is going to come up. And they work in combination with each other. So you could say it's done only on a Monday and a Friday, only when it's the first week of the month and it's week 3 of the year. Now, you can create very complicated rules with this, but in general, most of your tasks will be daily tasks, and you just need to say what day they're done on. And if it's a daily task, just leave everyday ticks. Now, the next part that's relevant is these are the target times. So what time do you aim to have this job done by? It doesn't have to be done by this, but it defines the order in which these jobs would be done. So if I say I aim for this to be done at 10 o'clock, that's fine. And you can see that would be the default for each day. And I could say actually on a Wednesday the target time is 12 o'clock instead. Priority below I wouldn't worry about. That's only comes into play if you have multiple jobs that are to be done at the same time. And you can also set specific people on each day to do each job. So I could set Barris on this day, Oscar on that day, and so on. And that'll assign the job to their specific name in the work list. Instructions URL, this is so that you can put a YouTube video in here if you want to. Again, If it's not something you're particularly familiar with, I would leave that for now. Task instructions, it's literally just the instructions of how they should complete the task. So get a bucket and the floor. Again, you don't have to fill these out, but it's just helpful if you do. So just save this one, and you can see mop the floor. Oh, I've left it in group Deliveroo, probably isn't the best group there, so I'll just put that back into general. So you see now, you can see the days here and which person is doing those jobs on which days. What we talked about earlier were the groups and subgroups. So if I go to the master groups here, I can decide that actually I want it to be tasks. Then we could have something like shop special stuff. A cleaning rota, I'll leave that in checklist. So we save those. And if we go to these up here, we can edit the master groups as well up here. So if we go to the departments, so I could say I don't have a due diligence department, and I could say instead I'm going to have it as cooking, whatever. And you can see the primary groups up here then change. So the brown colour is now cooking. If I filter to that one, obviously there's nothing in there. And the final part is subgroups. Now these subgroups are the groups inside the groups, and they're specific to the task type as well. You could add new ones, set the order that they appear in. So if I go to the tasks here now, this is an example. So we've got the general group, which is for everybody, which you can see the one I just created there, mop the floor. The I at the top right means that there's some instructions on how to do it. And you can see this particular data set, they've broken it down into one primary group and one subgroup. So you've got the general one, and then you've got the stock take jobs here. If we go across as well, we've got, this would have been due diligence, I just changed the name of it. But they've got their temperature checks, you can see the times when they've got to be done, and if they're assigned to any specific people, you can filter to the specific people at the top right as well. In this case, there's nobody to filter to. So that's a general summary of this. The other part that's also quite relevant is if we press on day notes here, you can leave notes for the staff for future dates, or notes for the manager for future dates. They see these when they sign in, they can edit them, leave notes between each other, and so on to get everything sorted. Hopefully that's a fairly good summary of what you need, and yeah, it should be okay.